Well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it happens to be where you're at, and welcome back to JR World Travel TV. Ross Boblet, your host, and today I have a very good special for those who might not be too interested in going out of the country. We have some of the most spectacular national parks in the world. And they are absolutely beautiful. They're spectacular and plenty of fresh air, plenty of space. So it's a healthy place to take your vacation. And I have picked out just a few. Because there's over 400 total in the United States, but I've just picked out a few that give you a little bit of an appetite for travel. And here we go.
Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park sits high on the Continental Divide and is part of the Rocky Mountains Range, which runs from Canada to New Mexico. In the 1870s, English adventurer Isabella Bird visited this part of the Rockies and was moved to write, "I have found a dream of beauty, at which one might look at all one's life and sigh." 150 years later, that dream continues, preserved within a 415 square mile national park just 70 miles from Denver. Welcome to a dream, where wildlife roams free amid cool meadows and forests of fir. A dream where chains of subalpine lakes form mirrored steps into the sky, and alpine tundras lift over 60 granite peaks 12,000 feet into the heavens. Today, this dream can be experienced by visitors of all ages and abilities via 350 miles of hiking trails and on two of the highest scenic roads in the USA. Most visitors begin their Rocky Mountain adventure at the eastern entrance, just outside Estes Park. In summertime, traffic can be a headache, so leave your car at the Beaver Meadows Visitor Center and take the free shuttles to and from the park's popular eastern trailheads. Just 7 miles into the park, hop off at Sprague Lake, named after the enterprising Abner E. Sprague, who ran a dude ranch and fishing lodge here at the turn of the 20th century. Today, the lake is still a favorite with trout fishermen. And with a short, hard-packed loop trail, the lake is ideal for families and folks with limited mobility. For another easy hike, take the short loop around Bear Lake, which passes through a magical shoreline of spruce, aspen, and lodgepole pine. From Bear Lake, follow the trail up Tyndall Gorge. Pause by the lilies of Nymph Lake and gaze into the mirrored perfection of Dream Lake before arriving at one of the park's easiest to reach subalpine jewels, Emerald Lake. For a longer and more challenging hike, tighten up your bootlaces, pack a few layers, and hit the 10-mile out and back trail to Sky Pond. After an easy first mile, stop for a snack by the thundering waters of Alberta Falls, named after Abner Sprague's wife. From the falls, the trail climbs to the rugged shores of the Loch, a lake guaranteed to bring a tear to the eye of any visiting Scottish Highlander. From here, the trail steepens, traversing fields of wildflowers and grazing elk before arriving at the imposing wall of water and granite at Timberline Falls. From the base of the falls, the trail climbs a 100-foot chute. And while not overly difficult, if it looks like rain or snow, it's best to turn back here. After 2 to 3 hours of hiking, climbing, and rock hopping, the tree line finally thins to reveal the stark beauty of Glass Lake. Just a few steps beyond, the trail ends at Sky Pond, a glacial basin cradled by a citadel of granite cliffs and shark-toothed spires. As you look back down the valley, give thanks to Enos Mills, who tirelessly lectured coast to coast, planting the seeds of the Rockies' importance into the nation's consciousness. In 1909, the man they call the father of Rocky Mountain National Park shared his dream. In the years to come, when I am asleep beneath the pines, thousands of families will find rest and hope in this park. And in the decades since, millions have walked these trails. After giving your calves and camera a workout on the park's eastern trails, grab your car keys or join a tour and head north into the park's high country. Pull into Horseshoe Park, a wetland sanctuary whose rich soils and perfect U-shaped valley were a gift of a passing glacier around 15,000 years ago. To trace the journey of that glacier, head west up Old Fall River Road, a one-way, uphill gravel road that follows a Native American hunting trail. The road is strictly seasonal, passable to cars only in summer, but enjoyed by snowshoers and cross-country skiers when winter closes in. The road's hairpin bends require slow speeds and steady nerves, but you'll find plenty of safe pullovers to take in the valley views, scent of ponderosa, and the hypnotic rhythms of snowmelt. After emerging into the sparse alpine tundra, the road nears its end at the Fall River Cirque. This is the birthplace of the glacier that bulldozed its way down to Horseshoe Valley, 9 miles away. Perched on the northern rim of the Fall River Cirque is the Alpine Visitors Center, the highest visitor center in the entire U.S. National Park system. After learning more about the alpine tundra and the peoples who first traversed these mountains and valleys, take the half-mile hike up the Alpine Ridge Trail. The trail across the tundra may be short, but it's known as Huffer's Hill for good reason. After catching your breath in the thin alpine air, enjoy the views which stretch away across space and time. From the Alpine Visitors Center, Old Fall River Road emerges onto the halfway point of Trail Ridge Road, the highest continuously paved road in the USA. From here, turn left and head back towards the park's eastern side and enjoy the expansive views from the many outlooks and rest areas. Or turn right to explore the park's southwestern side. Be sure to stop at Milner Pass, which marks the Continental Divide, the line at which the Rockies waters flow either west to the Pacific or east toward the Atlantic. While you're there, stretch your legs on the Ute or Mount Ida trails to experience some of the best high alpine hiking on the Divide. And as with all higher altitude hikes in this region, start out early and pack warm clothes, as storms roll in quickly, particularly in the afternoons. From Milner Pass, Trail Ridge Road gradually descends to Grand Lake, where you'll find some of the park's most enchanting landscapes. From the East Inlet Trailhead, take the easy 1-mile hike to Adams Falls. Then continue on through forests and meadows straight from a children's picture book. Venture deeper into the forest on North Inlet Trail for a 3.5-mile hike to Cascade Falls. For those yearning even longer journeys, the trail here forms part of the 3,100-mile Continental Divide Scenic Trail. Just turn right for Canada or left for Mexico and keep walking. But for most of us, Rocky Mountain National Park holds more than enough adventure to fulfill all our wildest longings. From the ever-present songs of its snowmelt to the cool, fragrant embrace of its alpine air, Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park is a dream that awakens all the senses. It's a dream that opens every eye and ear to the miracles of nature and draws a sigh from every soul. Arches National Park is situated in Utah's Canyon Country, a scenic 4-hour drive southeast from the state capital, Salt Lake City. Most folks kick off their adventure in the legendary outdoor mecca of Moab, which sits amid some of the most rugged, awe-inspiring landscapes in the USA. Just 5 miles north of Moab is the turnoff to Arches National Park, which contains the largest concentration of sandstone arches on the planet. But you'll find more than just arches, slick rock, and canyons here. You'll find a geological story millions of years in the making. Venture back through the park's early chapters, and you'll discover a land submerged by ocean, cleaved open by ice, and burnished by wind. Wander back through more recent pages and follow the footprints of America's first peoples who formed a special kinship with these towering monoliths and arches. Today, the 17-mile Arches Scenic Drive makes it possible for visitors to breeze through the park's main sites in as little as 2 hours. But to truly experience the gifts and grandeur of Arches, slow down and get out of your car. As early park ranger and wilderness writer Edward Abbey once implored, you can't see the desert if you can't smell it. Trails in Arches are easy to follow. But remember, the stone cairns you'll see along the slick rock sections are there to help you find your way. So don't go building new ones. Just a 5-minute drive into the park, pull into the Park Avenue trailhead and mosey beneath the shadows of towering canyon walls, which evoke the early skyscrapers of New York City. Another 15 minutes into the park, marvel at the spectacle of balanced rock. Then turn into the windows section, where arches dramatically frame this timeless land and our own fleeting presence here. The park contains over 2,000 sandstone arches, and just a 10-minute drive further up the main scenic road, you'll find its star attraction. Pull over at Delicate Arch Viewpoint to see this geological marvel stride like a pair of cowboy chaps across the far-off mesa. But to get up close to this Utah icon, you're gonna have to hike. The 1.5-mile trail to Delicate Arch has some challenging sections, so wear sturdy shoes, bring water, and set aside 2 or 3 hours. It's a hike you'll remember forever. After Delicate Arch, many visitors turn around and head back to Moab, which is a shame, as the park rewards those who venture a little further. Take a ranger tour into the labyrinth of Fiery Furnace. Escape from the sun amid the cool slot canyons of the Sand Dune Arch Trail. Then follow the road north to the park's grand finale, Devil's Garden. The park's scenic road may end here, but at the Devil's Garden trailhead, miles of more adventure awaits. Take the easy 1-mile hike to incredible Landscape Arch, the longest arch span in North America. Then, if you've got the legs, head deeper into Devil's Garden, where visitors have been finding solitude, shelter, and spiritual sustenance amid the spires, fins, and arches for millennia. Arches National Park is one of the planet's great geological stories. A land cleaved open by ice, burnished by wind, and baked by the sun. And for those who slow down and listen to this story, they too will be forever shaped by this place. For that is the reward of time well spent. And this is the gift of the Arches. It's the driest place in the USA, the lowest point in North America, and one of the hottest places on Earth. But between mid-October and mid-May, Death Valley is one of the USA's most life-affirming road trips. Death Valley straddles the California-Nevada border, just a 4.5-hour drive from Los Angeles or a 2.5-hour drive from Las Vegas. Many parts of Death Valley are designated wilderness areas and are under the care of the National Park Service. Despite its rugged appearance, Death Valley's ecological, geological, and historical gems are fragile. Tread lightly so future generations can experience the wilderness value of this national treasure. If you're approaching from Nevada, the adventure begins just outside the park in the freewheeling town of Beatty, the gateway to Death Valley. In the early 1900s, Beatty serviced nearby mining towns such as Rhyolite, which during its short life featured a train station, 3 newspapers, and 53 saloons. After the mining boom, the hills around Beatty called out to artists and free thinkers. Stop by the Goldwell Open Air Museum, home to the Venus of Nevada, the Ghost Rider, and other works inspired by the windswept Mojave Desert. The Mojave has long drawn spiritual seekers too. If you're entering the park from the California side, stretch your legs at Father Crowley Overlook, dedicated to the man they called the Desert Padre. Just a 10-mile drive further into the park, take the turnoff to Darwin Falls, a reminder that despite the park's foreboding name, Death Valley supports a surprising abundance of life. After Darwin Falls, shake off the dust at Panamint Springs. Whether you're staying for the night or just wetting your whistle, remember to top up on fuel and water before venturing into the back roads, because this is no place for the ill-prepared. Follow the gravel road south to the Wild Rose Kilns, which once produced the charcoal needed to smelt lumps of Death Valley ore into silver. Stop by the Eureka Mine, where fortune seeker Pete Augerberry devoted his life to swinging a pick. The Frenchman never did hit the mother lode, but instead discovered one of Death Valley's greatest treasures, serenity. When visitors began exploring Death Valley in their newfangled motor cars in the 1930s, the ever-affable Augerberry guided them to the place he called the Great View. Take the climb to his beloved outlook and behold the spectacle of the Panamint Mountains, cascading into the valley floor 6,000 feet below. After exploring the back roads of the Panamint Range, head deeper into the park's sun-baked heart at Stovepipe Wells. It was here where a party of lost 49ers burnt their wagons, ate their oxen, and staggered out on foot from the place they christened Death Valley. Death Valley's landscapes may be harsh, but they are rarely monotonous. Each twist on these desert roads reveals yet another vista with its own geological voice, its own story to tell. Just a short drive east of Stovepipe Wells are the shifting sands of the Mesquite Dunes, the easiest to access of all the park's dune fields. Further east, take a walk along the Salt Creek Trail, where playful pupfish splash in the wetland remnants of a lake which once covered much of the valley. To the south, lace up your hiking boots and discover the slot canyons, marbled narrows, and galleries of fragmented rock in Mosaic Canyon. Once you've explored the trails around Stovepipe Wells, continue south into the valley floor, where as the road descends, the temperature climbs. Pull into the aptly named Furnace Creek, the holder of the world's highest recorded temperature. Despite the heat, the resorts here make Furnace Creek a cool place to kick back after a long day on the trails. In the late 1800s, this outpost was the home of the Pacific Coast Borax Company, whose 20 mule wagon teams hauled borax from the valley floor and into the laundries and cosmetics counters of the USA. Learn more about Death Valley's gritty past at the Furnace Creek Visitor Center. Run by the National Park Service, an hour here will deepen your appreciation of the park's incredible history, ecosystems, and geology. Furnace Creek is close to some of Death Valley's most popular sites, and as always, no two are quite the same. Just a 5-mile drive south of Furnace Creek is Zabriskie Point, a mudrock badlands that has long inspired filmmakers, musicians, and mystics. A few miles south, take the turnoff onto Artist Drive, a scenic road which takes in an eye-popping, oxidized palette of hillside colors. Nearby, at the Devil's Golf Course, stand at the edge of the jagged salt plain that stopped the wagons of those lost 49ers dead in their tracks. Just 10 miles down the road in Badwater, imagine the heartbreak of those lost overlanders who splashed these waters to their cracked and swollen lips only to taste water twice as salty as the sea. After exploring the park's lowest point, take the road up Coffin Peak to Dante's View. Here, from a height of 5,500 feet, southern Death Valley stretches out with all the ferocity of hell and all the beauty of heaven. Nature's very own divine comedy. After coming back to Earth, head north and follow 27 miles of serpentine bends through Titus Canyon to Leadfield. In 1925, false advertising lured hundreds of hopeful miners to these barren hills. 3 years later, Leadfield was just another Death Valley ghost town. One miner who did strike it lucky was Bert Shively. Cornering his runaway burrow in a remote canyon, the exasperated miner picked up a rock to hurl at that stubborn beast. Glinting in the sun, that rock was never thrown, and the lost burrow mine went on to produce gold for decades. Just over the hill from Bert's mine is the Racetrack, whose mysterious sliding rocks were long thought to be the work of playful spirits and bored extraterrestrials. Alas, science has recently discovered more logical culprits: high winds and winter ice. From the Racetrack, head through Tea Kettle Junction to a section of the park formed by steam. Drive to the rim of Ubehebe Crater, formed in one explosive instant when rising magma hit cool groundwater. Some geologists estimate the crater was formed only 300 years ago, a reminder that despite appearances, Death Valley is very much alive and forever changing. Welcome, traveler, to a destination where the rusting iron and mine shafts of old-timers tell tales of endurance and hope. Where epic landscapes terrify, mystify, and delight. Where the wind scours the skin in one moment and in the next whispers all the world's secrets. Death Valley is the stuff of life. A 4 to 5 hour drive from Los Angeles and San Francisco, and just over an hour's drive from Fresno, are California's Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. Established in 1890, Sequoia National Park is named after one of the largest tree species on the planet and is home to one of the USA's highest peaks. Neighboring Kings Canyon lays just to the north, plunging 2,000 feet deeper into the earth than Arizona's Grand Canyon. Yet, despite their differences, these parks share much in common. Their valleys have been shaped by the snow-fed cascades of the central Sierra Nevada, while from their soils rise giant sequoias, some of which first put down roots 3,000 years ago, long before the rise of the Roman Empire. Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks are living timelines that remind us that we have small parts in a story far greater than our own. After passing Sequoia's iconic entrance sign, follow Route 198 through the park's sunlit foothills into the dappled shadows of its conifer zone. Pull over at Tunnel Rock, where generations of motorists left their mark before the road was rerouted in 1997. 4 miles on at Hospital Rock, see the marks of even earlier travelers, the Potwisha people, who for centuries used this healing place as a winter encampment. Follow the hairpins ever upwards for another 8 miles. Then turn left and follow the gentle melody of Yucca Creek into the depths of Crystal Cave. Discovered by 2 park employees while on a fishing trip in 1918, these marble caves have been shaped and polished by snowmelt for over 100,000 years. After exploring the park's subterranean worlds, turn your gaze skyward at the Four Guardsmen, a grove of 1,000-year-old sequoias. But these are mere adolescents compared to what lays just beyond in the giant forest. Call into the Giant Forest Museum to learn more about the sequoia tree, named after the Cherokee scholar who created the first alphabet for his people and inspired the creation of writing systems for pre-literate languages all over the world. Which is somewhat ironic, for as you walk beneath the 8,000 sequoias of the giant forest, chances are you'll be lost for words. From the museum, take the Big Trees Trail, a wheelchair-friendly circuit where you'll find favorites such as Ed by Ned, twin sequoias whose combined footprint is as large as a swimming pool. Two miles on from the museum, pay your respects to one of the park's elder statesmen, General Sherman, which rockets 16 stories into the sky and contains as much wood as an average 20-acre pine forest. After straining your neck muscles looking up at one of the world's largest living beings, take the 10-minute drive to Morrow Rock. Climb the 400 steps up the bald granite dome which juts from the mountainside. To the west, look down on Route 198, which zigzags up from the valley floor. To the east, gaze out to the peaks of the Great Western Divide, piercing the clouds at over 13,000 feet. While to the north, feel the call of even more adventure from Kings Canyon. Just an hour's drive from Morrow Rock is Grant Grove Village, the sole gateway to Kings Canyon National Park. After learning more about the park's human and natural history at the Visitor Center, explore the General Grant Tree Trail. Peer into the fallen monarch, used by the U.S. Cavalry a century ago to stable horses, and Gamlin Cabin, the oldest remaining structure in the park. Then stand before the General Grant, the world's second largest tree. Declared the nation's Christmas tree by President Coolidge in 1926, and a living shrine to those lost in war by President Eisenhower in 1956, the roots of this giant run deep into America's consciousness. After bathing in the forest fragrances at Grant Cove, buckle up and hit the Kings Canyon Scenic Byway. Open from May to October, this incredible road snakes its way eastward, high above the Kings River. As the road descends and your grip on the steering wheel relaxes, take a breather by the cool mists of Grizzly Falls and Roaring River Falls. After 30 wild, rocky miles, the road nears its end, delivering you into the lush valley floor at Zumwalt Meadow. Wander the boardwalk around this picture-perfect Sierra meadow filled with wildflowers, berries, and birdsong as the near vertical granite giants, North Dome and Grand Sentinel, fill the sky. Whether it's the vastness of Zumwalt Meadow or the giant sequoias which reach toward the heavens, no photograph, no video, no words can fully capture the sheer scale and spirit of Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. This is a place that defies the limits of lens and language. A place where, as John Muir wrote, the snow melts into music, and between every two trees is a door leading to a new life. The only way to experience this place is to step through that door yourself. Just 165 miles from San Francisco lies one of America's greatest treasures. Yosemite National Park sits on the western slopes of California's Sierra Nevada mountains. It also occupies a special place in the nation's soul. Yosemite's story began as the last ice age ended, when the glaciers of the region's high country scoured and sculptured the valley below. Managed by the National Park Service and covering almost 1,200 square miles, Yosemite takes in 5 vegetation zones, from oak and chaparral woodlands to sparse alpine high country. Of the 4 million visitors who come each year, most spend their time in Yosemite Valley, which is open year-round. At only 8 miles long and 1 mile wide, this valley packs in more jaw-dropping scenery than just about any other place on Earth. As you enter the Yosemite Valley Ring Road from the west, it's worth taking a short detour to Tunnel View and stand before a sweeping panorama that's reduced generations of visitors to silence and many to tears. To the right, there's the ethereal mist of Bridal Veil Fall. To the left, the sheer granite face of El Capitan. While in the background, the rising majesty of Half Dome beckons you deeper into the valley. From Tunnel View, it's just a short drive and then an easy walk to the base of Bridal Veil Fall. The fall reaches its peak in May, yet possesses a magic all year round. If you're looking for love, breathe deeply. The park's original custodians, the Awanichi, believe that inhaling the fall's mists increases your chances of marriage. The park's ring road follows the banks of the Merced River, a national wild and scenic waterway which shifts in character as it thunders and tumbles from the valley walls before gently winding across the valley floor. Here, the river is lined with pine forests, rich meadows, and beaches. These are the places to pause and let the park's spirit wash over you. These are the places which inspired President Teddy Roosevelt to write, "It was like lying in a great solemn cathedral, far vaster and more beautiful than any built by the hand of man." The Yosemite Valley Ring Road is dotted with trailheads that lead off into 800 miles of hiking trails. First cut almost 150 years ago, the 4-mile trail climbs the valley's southern wall to two of the park's greatest outlooks. At Glacier Point, gaze down into the entire valley and away into the distant high country. A little further along, whatever breath you have left will be taken away by the views at Washburn Point. If you're pressed for time, you can also access these outlooks by car or tour bus via Glacier Point Road, which is open between May and November. Further along the Ring Road is the trailhead for another of Yosemite's signature hikes, the Mist Trail. This 5-hour hike is for moderate to experienced hikers, but repays every step with even more stunning vistas and the spectacle of Vernal and Nevada Falls. The Mist Trail links up with the John Muir Trail, named after the grandfather of America's national park system. In his 1912 book, The Yosemite, the naturalist wrote, "Everybody needs beauty as well as bread, places to play in and pray in, where nature may heal and give strength to body and soul alike." It was writings like this which helped seed Yosemite into the consciousness of a nation and led to its designation as one of America's first national parks. After crossing the river at the valley's eastern end, the Ring Road turns west toward Yosemite Village. At the museum, explore the culture of the valley's first peoples. Then at the visitor center, learn about the miners, ranchers, artists, and entrepreneurs who followed. And don't miss the Ansel Adams Gallery, dedicated to the photographer whose timeless black and white images have inspired millions to see Yosemite for themselves. From March to October, the park gets busy, so consider leaving your car at the village and exploring the valley on the free shuttle service. Or enjoy the valley views from two wheels. Follow the 12 miles of bike paths which loop along the river and cross dreamy meadows filled with wildflowers, taking in the valley's star attractions along the way. For thousands of years, the Ahwahneechee had villages throughout this fertile valley floor, but it was here at the base of Yosemite Falls where their great chief resided. The falls flow in 3 sections, which you can see in their entirety from vantage points all over the park. But nothing compares to taking the 1-hour hike to feel the full force of Lower Falls, or spending the day climbing all the way to the Upper Falls. When it comes to climbing, El Capitan, a 3,000-foot-high granite monolith, has become a rite of passage for climbers from all over the world. The first ascent, in 1958, took 47 days. From the comfort of El Capitan Meadow, sit back and watch modern climbers who have reduced that same climb to a couple of days, or sometimes to just a few hours. As the Ring Road winds back towards the park entrance, stop at Valley View for one long look back. But there's no need to feel heavy-hearted because there's so much more of Yosemite to discover just up the road. To the north of Yosemite Valley climbs one of the USA's most scenic highways. Tioga Road is impassable between October and May, but as the snow clears, the road re-emerges, rising into the rugged Sierra Nevada high country. Pull over and fill your lungs with cool alpine air at Olmsted Point. Refresh yourself by the pure waters of Tenaya Lake, named in honor of Yosemite's last great chieftain. Then follow the road further to Tuolumne Meadow, the traditional summer hunting grounds of the Awanichi. Today, this subalpine meadow is the perfect place to stock up on serenity or to pick up one of the many trails that lead to further alpine adventures. One of the shortest but most rewarding trails leads to Lembert Dome, named after one of the park's earliest settlers. From its high country to its waterfalls, from its towering sequoia to its valley meadows, Yosemite is an American story unlike any other. It is a place where a nation returns again and again through the best and worst of times to breathe, to be inspired, and just be. For this is a place, John Muir once wrote, that is far easier to feel than to explain. This is a place to wash the spirit clean. Filled with over 39 trillion gallons of pure Sierra snowmelt and pushed a mile into the Californian and Nevada skies, Lake Tahoe is the USA's largest alpine lake and one of the country's oldest year-round vacation playgrounds. Lake Tahoe has forever drawn travelers to its shores, from the Native Americans who called this place Big Water to the trappers, timber cutters, and pioneers who followed. In the 1870s, an awestruck Mark Twain wrote, "To breathe the same air as angels, you must go to Tahoe." By the time the 20th century rolled around, lodges, taverns, and casinos had sprung up all around Tahoe's shoreline, catering to legions of weary city folk keen to experience that heavenly air for themselves. When you're ready for a little alpine magic, take the 4-hour drive from San Francisco to the sunlit shores of Kings Beach. Set on Tahoe's northern end, this beach was named after local card shark Joe King, who used his winnings to develop some of the lake's earliest lodgings. On the lake's southern shore is Pope Beach, where you'll find another Tahoe institution. At historic Camp Richardson, generations of families return year after year to create lifelong vacation memories under the towering pines. From Pope Beach, saddle up and follow the bike path to the Taylor Creek Visitor Center. An open-air classroom for the entire family, the center features fabulous interpretive walks, such as the Rainbow Trail. This wetland loop even features an underground chamber, giving visitors a unique salmon eye view of this incredible environment. Once you've warmed up your legs at Taylor Creek, take in the majesty of the surrounding state parks. Nearby at D.L. Bliss State Park, follow the spectacular Rubicon Trail, which runs high above Tahoe's deepest waters and dips down to quiet, secluded coves. The 6.5-mile trail twists through forests of aspen, cedar, and mountain dogwood. Past the country's highest lighthouse before crossing into neighboring Emerald Bay State Park. This park is home to the Eagle Falls Trail, a moderate 2-mile hike that takes in some of the Sierra High Country's finest views. Down by the shore, visit Tahoe's Hidden Castle. Inspired by the legends and architecture of Scandinavia, in 1929, heiress Lola J. Knight brought in an army of 200 craftsmen to build this 38-room summer home from the lake's timber and stone. Today, Vikings Home is cared for by the Sierra State Parks Foundation and operates as a museum and a fairy tale window into Tahoe's past. Emerald Bay is also home to the lake's only island, once the abode of another local character, Captain Dick, who delighted in showing visitors a wooden box containing his toes. The old sea dog lost his toes to frostbite after capsizing his boat one dark winter night on a long row from a far-off tavern. These days, Tahoe's 72-mile ring road makes getting around the lake far less perilous. And even if you're not up to paddling or hiking, you can still enjoy the breathtaking vistas from its many roadside stops, like Inspiration Point. Just 10 miles east of Emerald Bay is the lake's largest town, South Lake Tahoe. Hang out on the beaches, enjoy the creature comforts, then rise above it all on Heavenly Mountain, a world-class ski resort in winter and adventure playground throughout the summer months. Lake Tahoe is a place of ever-shifting moods. When you're ready to experience this raw beauty, take a drive up the eastern shoreline, which is wilder and less developed than her other shores. When the ponderosa pines bend with the season's first snow, Tahoe transforms into a winter wonderland. Towns like Tahoe City and nearby Truckee become the perfect snowbound escapes, while the lake's ski resorts turn Tahoe into the nation's favorite winter playground. As far back as 1856, mountain men like Snowshoe Thompson were traversing these slopes on wooden skis. But it was the Winter Olympics that really put Tahoe's runs on the map. In 1960, skeptical teams and officials from 30 countries descended on a fledgling resort called Squaw Valley, and they were soon won over. In the decades since, over 20 world-class downhill and cross-country resorts have opened, taking advantage of the region's 300 days of sunshine per year, 400 inches of annual snowfall, and that incredible Tahoe scenery. Whether you're looking for snow-capped peaks or crystal-clear coves, places to bond with loved ones, or pockets of pure solitude, the lake in the sky has it all. As naturalist John Muir wrote over a century ago, Tahoe is surely not one, but many. I am reminded of all the mountain lakes I ever knew, as if this were a kind of water heaven to which they all had come.